I'm the average weight for like women in America.
Average weight of a woman in America? What are you talking about? See that voice? Where did that come from? Coach Greg in today's video is being fat and or skinny a choice? Well, they've gathered a group of people, 8 individuals, some very much morbidly obese, others extremely skinny, guys 6'5", 143 pounds, and they've asked them a variety of questions. And so we're going to go over the questions, see how delusional are some of these individuals, and see, do some of them make sense? Let's get right into it. So first things first, I personally believe that obesity and or being skinny is a choice, and the reason for that is because I think that it's calories in, calories out. If you choose to eat too much in a surplus for long enough, of course you're going to become morbidly obese. On the other hand, if you hardly eat anything, you don't eat enough, of course you're going to become skinny. So ultimately, the choice is yours. And of course, there's a lot of factors that go into this, but let's see what they say.
Being fat or skinny is a choice.
It's only 37% of people agree with me, about 1 in 3, and so the majority of people, they disagree with me. Shocking. Shocker. As if we expected them to agree with logic. I mean, is it even debatable? But let's listen to their answers.
I don't think that every factor is, but I do think a majority of it is. And in most cases, for most people, being skinny or being fat is about willpower.
Abso-friggin-lutely. If you have strong enough willpower and you just don't eat, you're going to lose weight. And on the other extent, if you eat too much, you're going to gain weight. And so the reality is this, and people who are overweight, they don't want to believe this. They don't want to listen to this because it's easier to say, oh no, it's genetics, it's this, it's that. If you don't eat, you're going to lose weight. Let me repeat this. If you don't eat, you're losing weight. It's not possible to become morbidly obese without eating. And so if you are in fact overweight and or obese, you had that choice. You had the choice to not eat or to eat. I get it. You're hungry. You want to eat. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being obese, but I'm saying it is in fact a choice. Just like if I have really pale skin, I'm an albino. Oh, you have no choice. You can't get a sunburn. Yeah, you could stay inside. You could never go outside ever. You could never expose yourself to UV light, and so you'd never get a sunburn. Yeah, it's harder. If you go outside, you're burning, but it is, in fact, a choice.
I know what I do with my body. I know what I put into it day in and day out. I choose not to eat some days. I choose, how I want to look.
And so clearly, if he ate more, he would be bigger. But he chooses this in the same way that if you're 400 or perhaps 600 pounds, you choose to eat those foods. You're not being forced to eat. It's not something you have to do. You are choosing to do it. And so whether or not you're overly thin, you're not eating enough, perhaps you have an ED, or if you're overly heavy, you're eating too much, it is ultimately your choice.
I understand that there's genetics that could cause you to want to eat more, but even with the genetics that cause you to want to eat more, the same solution is calories in, calories out.
And there you have it. It's calories in, calories out. She couldn't have said any better. If you don't agree with this, I really don't know what to say.
I grew up in a very poor home, so where my mom couldn't provide the meals that she could healthily. Once it reached a point where I was old enough to try to make my own choices, I made all of the wrong choices. I wasn't eating.
Notice, when I was to a point where I was old enough to make all my own choices, I made all the wrong choices. Obesity is a choice. She just outright proved herself wrong. Obesity is a choice. She made all the wrong choices.
And I was only eating grapes and lettuce, and that was mainly because I was in a sport, and that sport just worked me out so hard.
Do you really think all she ate was grapes and lettuce and it caused her to gain weight? Does she have some kind of magic metabolism where she can get extra calories from lettuce and grapes? Let me tell you this. I don't care what you eat. I don't care if it's pizza, if it's donuts, if it's candies. If you're eating fewer calories than you burn off, you're going to lose weight. And you're not gaining weight by eating a bunch of freaking grapes and lettuce. Well, maybe the grapes if you're eating that in addition to something else. But there's no way this woman gained all this extra weight from eating grapes and lettuce. Really.
It was to the point where I just was scared to eat. I didn't like it. I would only drink water.
Really, I then only drank water, and look at me right now. I'm clearly morbidly obese. Do you really think this is possible? She is delusional. She's convinced herself that there's no way she can lose weight. Even when she only ate lettuce, perhaps some grapes on the top, she still lost weight. And when she only drank water, it still didn't work. It's her genetics.
When you were eating grapes and lettuce, were you thin?
I was the thinnest I could be.
Were you still
I
big
was
though?
I was still big.
She is delusional. She preying on the fact that people will have an appeal to sympathy. Oh, poor her. She grew up and her parents mid-fed her, and it's her genetics or her environment, and she just can't lose weight. Even though she was only eating lettuce and grapes and sometimes just water, she still couldn't be skinny. Poor her. Obesity, it's not a choice. For her, it wasn't a choice. Really?
I was supposed to get blood tested probably when I was very, very young, and I never did. And they had mentioned that it could have been because of my weight and how that connects with my thyroid.
And listen, even if you have an underactive thyroid, and even if you don't get medication for it, you can't afford it, whatever reason, you can still lose weight. I understand it's more difficult. You have an underactive thyroid. You have a slow metabolism. I get it. It makes it harder. But by saying, oh, I have this problem, I have this disease, I have this or that, I can't do this, I can't do that, you're taking away your own power to lose weight, and you know you can do it. They asked her, do you think you can lose weight? Oh, I don't. You need to say, yes, I know that I can. Obesity is a choice, and I am going to choose to do something about it.
It's a choice to do the requisite steps. It's a choice to go grocery shopping instead of going to fast food when it's easy.
Exactly. This lady in the red dress, she's making so much sense. Listen to her. She knows what she's talking about.
You should be able to have a balance. You should be able to go into the junk food aisle like other skinny people do and still not have to worry about gaining 20 pounds.
Well, not everyone can do this. If you have physical limitations, disabilities, you can't go and exercise. Not everyone is physically able to exercise, but yet it's still calories in, calories out. The only difference is your calories out portion, it's going to be significantly diminished. If you can't go to the gym, you can't train, you can't do cardio, you can't walk, you can't do anything, obviously you're going to burn off fewer calories. And so how do you make up for that? Well, let's think about it. It's calories in versus calories out. If you can't get the calories out, don't get the calories in. And so why do you think you just get to eat cookies, chips, and junk food in the junk food aisle? Oh, because everyone else can? Well, you can't. I can't slam dunk. Everyone in the NBA over 7 feet tall can, but I can't. I want to, but just because I want to doesn't mean I get to.
But I don't think skinny people go into this junk food aisle.
They
I think
certainly do.
They do.
I eat a lot of junk food.
Yeah.
I mean,
There are 3,500 calories in 1 pound of fat, and so you need to eat 70,000 calories of those cookies and chips in the junk food aisle to gain 20 pounds. And so stop sitting there trying to get everyone to feel sorry for you because you just think you have a slow metabolism. Even if your metabolism is shittier and slower than everyone in the world, you're still gaining that weight by eating too much.
There's a thing called set points. There's a ton of research on it that your body likes to be at specific weights. It likes to be in a specific way.
Yeah, we're not disagreeing with that. There's a set point. Everyone wants to be at a certain weight. Perhaps it's 200 pounds. Perhaps for you, it's 300 pounds. But if you, in fact, do more cardio, you walk for an hour, 2 hours a day, whatever, you put on more muscle, you speed up your metabolism and your set point gets lower. It's not going to be as low as someone who's 120 pounds, but it's going to be lower than when you're 300. We're not saying that everyone should be skinny, that it's easy. But we are saying that you can do something about it. Just because your body wants to do something doesn't mean you have to do it. Your body wants you to be 300. It wants you to eat more. It's releasing ghrelin saying eat. And when you eat sugar and fat, highly palatable foods, ice cream and so on, your body wants to eat more of it over and over again. When you're eating fast food, more chemical signals are being sent to the brain saying, keep eating, it's so delicious. But you know what else is true? When you do drugs, when you drink alcohol, when you smoke cigarettes, when you do anything bad, it's very addictive. Just because it's addictive, just because your body wants to do it, doesn't mean you need to give in to the cravings. Just because you smoke cigarettes and you're addicted, doesn't mean you need to keep smoking cigarettes. You can stop. And to the same extent, just because you're eating junk food, just because you love it, doesn't mean you need to keep doing it. You can stop.
But I definitely still acknowledge that it was my choice. At the end of the day, when I go there and I look and I see, should I order a second hamburger? I'm the one choosing whether or not I order that second hamburger. I'm the one making that choice.
And so clearly, he's the one choosing the second hamburger. He knows it's a choice. You don't have to do it. It's a choice. Do you not agree with me? The goal of this video is to present the information, and by the end of it, I'm hoping that you'll think, use your logic, and come to the same conclusions as me. If not, I did my best.
I would rather be skinny than fat.
How is this possible? Only 4 out of 9 would rather be skinny than fat. Now listen, being skinny, it's not unhealthy. Science will show that being skinny actually makes you live longer. It's healthier overall. We're not talking about an ED where you're perhaps 65 pounds. We're not talking about that. But in general, being skinny, the opposite of being obese, it's clearly healthier. And so I can't understand how so many people would choose to be obese or morbidly obese than skinny. Why is that? Let's hear their answers.
I've got 2 kids and a wife, and I'm taking care of them. And as you pointed out, I definitely think that I'm at less health risks if I'm a skinnier person.
And so clearly this guy makes sense. He's 6'6". He wants to be there for his family. I mean, he'd rather be skinny, clearly.
I'm speaking as someone who actually was a former smaller person. And I had the most body insecurities when I was small.
And so she's actually making sense. So when she was skinnier, she had insecurities. Oh my God, I have to be this way. Perhaps she was starving herself. Perhaps she was scared. Oh my God, what if I gain weight? And so for her, it was better to be heavier. And so if you're skinny right now, but you're starving yourself, you're not eating enough, you have a lack of energy, brain fog, you have lower levels of testosterone, you have a lower sex drive, you just don't feel good because you're not eating enough, then perhaps it's better for you to be obese. I'm not saying everyone should be skinny. I'm listening to both sides. I'm trying to be impartial. I'm trying to be honest. And for some people, it's simply healthier for them to be overweight than it is for them to be skinny. And so that is a great point. And remember, if you're experiencing lower levels of testosterone, consider giving G-Test a try from Harder Than Last Time supplements. You can click the link in the description, code Greg, 10% off. Please consider using G-Test. The science has shown it can increase testosterone up to 200 to 400 nanograms per deciliter. And so other than changing your diet and eating more, please consider G-Test. Give it a try.
I don't think skinny always equates to being healthy. I'm 6'5", I'm 140 pounds last time I checked, and I'm severely underweight.
And so being skinny does not mean being healthy. If he's 6'5" and 140 pounds, perhaps he's underweight. Perhaps he's not eating enough. There's a happy medium. There's a difference between being morbidly obese and being severely underweight. Somewhere in the middle. It's all about balance.
I guess it depends on what you mean when you think of the term skinny. Are you thinking of just like an average weight person, or are you thinking of how you are now?
I'm the average weight for like women in America.
Does anyone know what the Lulu is slang for? I'm the average weight of a woman in America. Maybe if she's 3'2". Average weight of a woman in America? What are you talking about? See that voice? Where did that come from? Now remember, if she is in fact the average weight of a woman in America, which is, I believe it's somewhere around 180 pounds, is a lot heavier than you would think. But the average woman in America is about 5'3.5". And so if you're 4'3.5" or anything under 5'3.5", it affects how much you're gonna weigh. The shorter you are, the less you should weigh. If you're 6'5" and 140 pounds, it's not very heavy. But if you're 5'5" and 140 pounds, it might be perfectly healthy for you. And so if she thinks she's the appropriate weight because she's the average weight, then she's got to learn harder than last time. Listen. The average weight of an American in the United States is not healthy. The average man I saw the other day, 28% body fat. The average female, 40%. This is obese. And so the average person in America is obese. And so if your weight is average, you are overweight. There's no way that this is the average body fat percentage of a woman in America. She's clearly above 50% body fat. This is not healthy.
There is such a gap between the research, because the research has a huge fat phobic bias in it.
And so she's trying to say that studies are biased, they're fat phobic, that they just want to make it look like obesity is so bad. Well, the woman in the red dress, she points out, BMI is height to weight. Bodybuilders are taken into account. And so according to the BMI chart, I've been obese for all these years. I have under 10% body fat. I'm obese. Why? Because I have a lot of muscle. And so when you do these studies and it says, oh, BMI does this, does that, that's counting all the bodybuilders. And so let's eliminate the people who are obese in the BMI chart because of the muscle that they have.
That they equated for that mistake, and it shows, oh my goodness, being fat is actually extremely unhealthy, like way, way more unhealthy than we ever realized.
Turns out it's even worse. If you're obese because your body fat is very high, very different than if you're obese because you have a lot of muscle. And so if you are obese, it most certainly is in fact shortening your life. Increased likelihood of obesity, high blood pressure, cancer, heart disease, everything. And so if you are trying to lose weight, one of the best supplements you can get is GO2 Max. It improves your cardio, your endurance. It gives you more energy so that you can go out and burn more calories. Calories out. You move more, you walk more, you train more. And it's not just for elite level runners, it's for couch potatoes as well. No matter who you are, if you take GO2 GO2 Max with the main ingredient being NMN, you may experience extreme benefits for your overall cardiovascular well-being. Interested in GO2 Max or any of the protein bars, anything, head over to the website, code Greg, 10% off. And right now there's a special sale. You purchase any product, you get a box of Sequel bars, 12 bars, full-size bars for only $9.99. Regular price is $35. It's a huge sale. Head over to my website, code Greg, 10% off. Click the link in the description. Also, if you're struggling with weight loss, please consider getting one of my cookbooks or my Circle Diet book, training book. It helps you to learn how to eat effectively low-calorie, delicious meals for the big eater. It's so much easier with one of my books. Please check them out. Click the link in the description. Code Greg, 10% off. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Of course, watch one of those 2 bloops. And if you're looking for training plans from me and my team or the Harder Than Last Time clothing line, head over to my website. Don't forget, code Greg, 10% off. And until next time, I am out.